Welcome in, friends. Welcome back to Notes from the Edge. I am your host, Lisa Lacey, writer, trauma educator, executive advisor, and author of the upcoming memoir, Notes from a Certified Madwoman. And we are on track to release in October. And today we've got Lolita here joining us, and we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, which is high achievement that becomes survival. Because as you guys well know, I lived that for most of my life until most recently. So today we're going to be talking about stress, self-trust, and why success should not cost you your nervous system. Our guest believes that what many of us call stress management is actually survival mode wearing a professional suit. I love that. After experiencing her own health crisis, she shifted her life's work to helping people protect their nervous system, rebuild self trust, and create sustainable success instead of constant sacrifice, which many of us women have gone through. And I think that's part of our conditioning as females. Lolita is an internationally recognized stress management expert, speaker, coach, podcast host, and 6-time Amazon #1 best-selling author. She's the creator of the Calm Process and the founder of Story to Impact, where she helps professionals transform chronic stress that will eventually take its toll on you into resilience, clarity, confidence, and meaningful impact. She draws from lived experience after recovering from a health crisis caused by the chronic stress. Now, she teaches leaders, organizations, entrepreneurs how to prevent burnout, strengthen their nervous system, establish healthy boundaries that actually work, and build sustainable success. She's appeared on over 200 podcasts and spoken internationally. Her mission is simple: help people stop surviving and start living with intention, confidence, and a whole bunch of self trust. Lolita, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Such an honor to be on your show. I am doing fantastic. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing good today. You are my seventh guest for the day. This was my busiest day yet, and I am having so much fun with this and getting to meet some remarkable people, including yourself. So let's dig in. We normally start with your origin story. So you went through a health crisis and made a big shift, a big pivot, a big transformation, a big transition. Talk to us about how you ended up helping people the way you help them today.
I realized that, it doesn't matter where you live, where you come from. And those who listening in, they may already catch my accent. I'm originally from Lithuania. And for 26 years, I live in Houston, Texas. And I came as an immigrant. But to tell you that, it doesn't matter where you live and who you are. If you come from the environment that you learn that stressing, it's a badge of honor,
Mm.
you will be coming into a place that looks like it's very normal. And my story is nothing extraordinary. I think all of us are coming to this world that we want to gain our place under the sun. We want to achieve our goals, especially when we see in our in society that when you are productive and you're producing, then you feel like you really need it and you're making a difference. Because when you really look around, all of us are wearing a badge of honor of being needed and productive. And
Mhm.
I help others to realize that maybe we don't need to run towards that horizon that fast.
I think I need you. I told my last guest, I was like, my coaching budget's gone way up because I want to hire every guest I've had. I'm like, I got that, I got that. You can help me with that. So I absolutely love that. Well, one of the things that stood out to me is that many people aren't simply just stressed. They're living in survival mode constantly, chronically, for years, for decades even. How do you, as a transformational coach, how do you help people recognize the difference between, okay, this is just stress, but this is chronic survival mode that can eventually take a toll on your body?
First of all, we need to recognize something that's very important where I totally missed in my journey is we need to recognize what environment that we're coming from. So when I have coaching clients come to me, the first question I ask them, how are your parents or the environment that you grow up in um, manage their stress? Because if someone would be stressed and they grabbing a glass of wine, like a bunch of my clients come and say, oh, I don't need stress management that much. I'm just have a glass of wine by the end of the day. Um, where did you learn that?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the deal. It's not that only we learn from our environment when we're children about how to manage stress, but everything else in life. So for someone, could be looks like a very stressful situation, and they may recognize it, that they're stressing, and they're not feeling well. But someone, for example, like me, that I was used to being in a stressful environment, I was used to being constantly hyper vigilant and waiting for the second shoe to drop, afraid to say no, major people pleaser. To me, that felt that's all I know. So when someone is stressed out and burnout, they may not even recognize that they are that way, because if
Mm-hmm.
they used to being and they saw other people in their lives being that way, so how can we even know that we're there if we don't even know what it looks like to begin with?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why these conversations are so important because when I was in my biggest spiral, I didn't have language for what was happening to me. And it was, I've got a thing about labels. I had so many labels slapped on me, but they did give me a starting place for healing, right? They gave me, okay, well, we're here. So based on this, we can do this next and this next and this next. So I think that's a very, very, very valid point. So your own health crisis, and I actually just had one at the beginning of this year, became a turning point for you. Um, Looking back now, what were the signs you missed in your body that other people should maybe be looking for? That chronic stress may be taking a toll on their body?
um, Many say, oh, when you feel a little bit annoyed, when you start snapping at people, but also it may get to the point where you don't want to do anything anymore because you're so drained and exhausted that you
Mhm.
cannot even think straight. Um, Depression, and I think the last stop is when it really manifesting in our bodies, and that's where I totally overlooked of being annoyed and depressed and all of other signs, because I saw my parents doing the same, I saw my environment doing the same, and I thought that's what it's supposed to be. So I think when we already manifest illness or something that is not working right in our body, that is the last stop. So it's very important for us to pay attention, as we go through our day. Where doesn't feel right? Where do I feel contracted? Where I feel resentment? Um, where do I feel angry? Because anger, that's mean that your boundaries being crossed, and that
Mhm.
stresses a lot of us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Crossing. Yeah. I don't like people who cross my boundaries. And since I hit surgical menopause, the boundaries were like, and everybody's like, oh, whoa. So I'm rocking the boat a lot right now, girl. I'm rocking the boat a lot. So you talk a lot about self-trust. And I think chronic trauma, and we all have it, it's part of the human experience. I mean, some worse than others once we hear each other's stories, but I I I think chronic betrayal, chronic trauma, chronic stress makes us stop trusting ourselves. We stop trusting our own intuition. Therefore, we're not trusting our own bodies. And if we're not trusting our own bodies, how are we going to be helpful in helping our bodies heal? So I found that trauma often disconnects people from trusting themselves. How do you feel that stress, trauma, and self trust intersect in the work that you actually do with people? In other words, how do you get them from chronic stress state before the crash, right? We want to get to people before the crash. How do you take them from chronic stress state to a place of self trust?
I think stress management should not be stressful. It
Yeah.
has to start small steps, because let's just face it, we have way too much going on. So the least that we want to tell someone is to do more things. So
Yeah.
when I started my stress management journey, I went for the what they call stress management bandages. As of, you need to have a diary and you need to write it down, all your emotions, what you feel
Uh,
through the day, or you need to go to yoga. And I thought to myself, I don't even have time for this. Now I have to do in addition to all of this. So very important is to recognize, and and that's why I talk about in my calm process. For anyone who is stressing out, I recommend, or any situation that you don't feel comfortable in, I recommend going to my calm process. Do I have a moment to share what that is so I can express myself what I
of
mean?
course you can. You share away. Go for it. What you got?
So let's, for those who are listening in, let's just think about something that you are going through right now that makes you feel uncomfortable or angry, resentful, something on your mind. So C stands after control. So can you control that situation? And now, mind you, you cannot control people, as we know. We cannot control their actions, how they feel about us, what they do, what they don't do. And I mean, it's like no brainer. We already know this, but we still stress
We
about it,
do, but
right?
we don't, right? We
We
do,
do or
but we
don't.
don't. Yeah.
But then some, and I heard my clients to say, well, the moment when you say that I cannot control the people, just feel so hopeless, because then looks like there's no way out. But here's the key: the one person that you can control, their actions and their feelings and everything else, it's you. So you can make a choice how you're going to address that situation. Will you allow yourself to be triggered, or you will start emotionally regulating yourself and suit your inner child? So then you go to the letter A, which is appreciation or acceptance.
Mm,
I believe it's a very good stop for kind of looking from a different point of view, because I
yeah.
think everything serves the purpose. We can think about, there's always silver lining in the situation. Maybe you lost a job because now it's time for you to start your own business, and you have never quit if you still had the job.
Yeah.
And I get sometimes clients will tell me, they're like, well, I don't think I wanted that horrible situation. I think we still, no matter how difficult situation is serving us, because that's where we see what we don't want. It's giving us that opportunity to learn more about ourselves.
Yes. Yes. We can use adversity as teachers. Yes. It's
And
data, it's information. Yeah.
and then we go to the letter L and M, and that's where I will answer your question you just gave me. In any situation, we need to, and I recommend highly to, really sit down, think about it, and write it down, the action steps that someone is taking about that specific situation.
Okay.
Even taking no action, that is still action.
It is. It's a choice.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
So then we look at it and then we evaluate that. Is that action is helping us?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are things that we do that we think it's helping us, but it's not really helping us.
Yeah, I think asking the question is fair. Is this helping or is this hurting? Because we create much of our own suffering.
And like I just mentioned, hey, going to yoga classes looks like you should serve me, right?
I
But
don't like yoga.
but it does not. I personally like Tai Chi better than yoga.
I like martial arts. Like I like getting in there. So I did martial arts for 11 years, but yeah, yoga, it's too slow for me. It doesn't fit my nervous system. My nervous system needs a little bit more ramped up, not ramped down. So, and I don't like sitting still for that long. So, yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
I
that's the thing. We need to identify what doesn't really work for us. And there are so many get caught into advice, what we heard by our authorities. And by that I mean our friends, our family members, teachers, gurus, everyone's getting into, oh, let's get more financially independent, or starting a new diet, or something that is looks like we're doing a lot, but we are resentful. And I say we cannot bulldoze ourselves into success.
Yeah. Bulldoze. I like that. Hmm. I'm a bit of a bulldozer sometimes. I'm
It
a bit of a bulldozer.
I think it all depends, is it helping you? Because there are some things that we do that is not helping. So then
Yeah.
the L in my column process stands limiting. It's limiting those things that we do that not helping us. Because what? Is it insanity, right? When you continuously doing the same thing but expect
Over and
different
over.
results.
Yeah.
But the key is here, which I think is very, very important, is to ask ourselves then, why am I still doing that?
Yes, the why is so important. Nobody asks the why. We don't ask ourselves the why, and the people supporting, loving, and serving us don't ask us the why either. There are reasons why we're behaving the way we are. I mean, the argument Brody and I had about biscuits and gravy was not about biscuits and gravy. It was about something completely ridiculous. We did end up eating the biscuits and gravy, but it was a terrible fight. Started over biscuits and gravy, sawmill gravy. But anyway, but it was not about the biscuits and gravy. It was about stuff that happened years ago that was still unresolved and it was coming up, right? It was coming up. So, yeah, the thing is, not to judge it, right? I hear you saying don't judge it. It might still be serving you, and that's totally cool. Like if it's something that's working for you, keep it. But what I hear you saying is if it's no longer serving you, it's best, the invitation there is to find a way to let it go, to drop it, to ditch it, to drop the performance, the identities, the roles, the masks, anything that's no longer serving you. It's not a question we were taught to ask ourselves.
And this is the hardest part, is to have enough courage to break the loyalties to those
Oh.
patterns that most of the time, all the stressors, all the triggers and things that we continuously doing many times come from our authorities. It could be, parents and all of those gurus and things that we believe that we need to follow that.
Mm-hmm.
um, and the breaking that connection with the what we learned that we should do, and also breaking the loyalty with that new identity that you will personally become. It can be
Mm-hmm.
very, very hard. And the loyalty is also very important to us because we as humans, we need to belong to the group. Otherwise, we're going to die.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that loyalty to the patterns. I love that wording because you're right. And it's a fair question to also ask, what are we getting out of it? Because we wouldn't be doing it if we're not getting something out of it. Even like in our people pleasing state, and I'm saying our because I was there too. I'm a recovering people pleaser. It was a form of me manipulating the situation so I avoided conflict at all costs so nobody would call me an angry or crazy person, right? So it was a form of manipulation, but not in the way like somebody with MPD or something would be manipulative. But yeah, and that's not easy to do, Lolita, face the hard truth about who we have become, but we have to do that hard work to figure out where we're going next. We got to
And
know where we're at right now, you
and then
know?
we can start with the two things that I can immediately can tell. Um, Number one is to build that trust that you asked me about. It
Yeah.
starts with a small step. So, letter M, it's in the column process, is multiply what works. So
Mm.
and it's very important for us to also write it down and acknowledge and celebrate ourselves that we are doing something good about that. And, and I know I heard some clients telling me, it doesn't look like I'm doing anything right. There's nothing to multiply. Otherwise, I will not be in this situation. But then we need to multiply things that are about us: resilience, kindness, generosity,
Mm.
other things that we do for ourselves and others that are worth multiplying. So basically, what does that mean? That means you need to remind yourself that you are capable. And I think I first time I heard from Jack Canfield years ago that says, make a list of your accomplishments. and then read it daily.
Oh, I love that. I'm gonna do that. It's gonna be such a long list, girl. It's gonna be so long. I'm gonna do that. I love that. I have a gratitude list that I keep. It's like 100 gratitudes. I redo it every year. But I just keep it handy for when my mind clicks on me or when it's looping and I need to get out of a negative pattern. But again, I think paying attention to why are we being loyal to these patterns that are destructive for us or to our families. So, great, great, great question. So, many of the listeners on here are executives, they're high achievers, high performers, who have built successful careers. We don't see them on here, but they're watching. I know you're watching, guys, because I see my numbers. So I know you're there. Say something. I wish they would say something, but um, they built successful careers, but they've built it on exhaustion, right? Working, yeah. When I started my consulting company, I mean it was 20-hour days that I was putting in. Um, and I ended up running a CrossFit box at the same time and crashed, had a full mental health psychosis crash. So at what point does resilience become self abandonment? Like we're performing strength, right?
It starts with doing something against yourself, even not drinking enough water, or wearing
Mm.
shoes that are too tight, or accepting a project or client, even though you feel inside you shouldn't.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, those are nightmares. The ones you're like, we're not a good fit, and you say yes anyway, and then you're like, I knew we weren't a good fit. Yeah, you got to be a good fit for this work. It's intimate, it's intimate work, and you want people that are actually going to show up and do the work. So, how can we start? What are some baby steps somebody can take today to start rebuilding that self trust and move away from abandoning themselves?
I believe the true work is being done by my client. So, me as a coach, and there is a client. It always looks like from a side that the coach knows all the answers. And I have plenty of those who come to me and they say, tell me what I need to do. And I'm like, okay, you're the one who's going to do the work. And and because I don't want you to bulldoze yourself and feel resentful and feel like you have to do something on top of what you're doing, I
Hmm.
always ask one question that now I'm inviting anyone who's listening, ask themselves one little question. What you believe you should do to help yourself to be less stressed.
Hmm.
Because it's really,
You find the answer.
yes,
Yeah.
what you believe. Because if I'll say you need to run around the block for an hour and you don't really feel like running around the block, you will be resenting. That's going to be even
Mhm.
more stressful. And also, what that means, you are breaking the trust with yourself because you are
Oh,
abandoning yourself. You're making yourself so your inner child is going to be all scared because now you're bulldozing yourself and doing something that you don't want to do it and you don't even believe it that you want to do, and that will help you.
yeah, I love that. So you offer them choice. I think choice is so underrated. I think as trauma survivors, especially sexual assault survivors, our choice was taken from us in many, many, many situations. So, working with people and giving them choice. Like, I have workbooks for people. Do them, don't do them. You're not turning them into me. Some people love them, they want homework, right? You know this from working with people. Some people are like, I don't want to do that. I do it up here. And I'm like, that's cool. You don't have to turn it into me. Now, some people want it turned in and they want a gold star on it, and that's cool too. But yeah, it's what works for you.
It,
We are not trained to do that.
it helps you if you believe helps you.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to believe it. And you have to believe that it's possible to change, your circumstances. Like you had mentioned, somebody being like, I can't get out of this. When you say you can't, you're just digging yourself farther in that hole, because the stories we tell ourselves are so powerful. And if we can stop telling ourselves the old stories that got us here and tell ourselves new stories, it's like you said, a brand new perspective, right? That's what working with coaches gives you. Is sometimes people are like, they're looking over here and they need to be looking over here, right? And that's our job, to be like, no, 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 look over here just for a minute, look over here and see what you see. But I love that when you work with people, it's their choice, because that is empowering. That builds self respect. That builds self trust up. So, yes, I love that. So, yeah. So, the calm process has helped so many people move from overwhelm into clarity, clarity, knowing what you're wanting. Kind of walk us through the philosophy. How did that come about for you? And what are some of the results that you've gotten from working with people?
It came in pieces. When I started coaching over 10 years ago, I realized that it was very important to let go of the things that don't work for us. I noticed a lot with my clients, and of course with myself, that I had this loyalty that I was afraid to break. I saw that I had to take courage in deciding that this can work for me or try something different. And that came into peace one by one. And I know, when I thought to myself, I should have a system that will be easier to remember, because we remember the small words. And when I realized, oh, the calm totally will make sense, because it's about stress management and it's about calming down. So that's how every letter came into play. But those parts were floating around for many years now. And why is this calm process is very easy to remember, but very easy to do. You even can do when you're stuck in traffic and just kind of running in your head, or you
Mhm.
can tackle any situation and write it things down and really get into details, really make even action steps for the things that you need to limit, and ask for help others if you don't know how to do things. um,
Yes.
but also, what is the most important part is here, actually doing the process, taking your
Mhm.
time of questioning yourself, because you know what that means. That means you're not abandoning yourself.
Mm.
This is how you're spending time with yourself, and you addressing your own needs. And especially for those who are overachievers, like I remember I used to be one, and those who are running towards horizon and it looks like you will never reach that point, it's very important to give yourself that opportunity to stop and rest. And like I said, stress management should not be stressful. So when I have clients and they say, how about this a tip, put your alarm on to ring every hour or every 2 hours. Again, it's a choice. And then whatever it rings, stop doing whatever you're doing and just take 1 minute for yourself.
Breath work, or just sit there for a minute, or just feel your body, something.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
now, for those who listening in, this usually question, this a tip I always give on my first session, and I watch the reaction. Because if somebody says to me, "Well, that's too simple," that's mean that you believe that in order to achieve goals and also to achieve state of mind where you're feeling calm and don't have to beat yourself up for something, you will think that stress management is supposed to be a very big deal. Because if it is a big deal, that means it's going to take you hours and hours to achieve something like that. So that means you need to break the limiting belief that 1 minute will not be enough. You need.
Exactly. Healing can happen quickly, guys. It does not have to be a trudge. It doesn't have to suck all the time. You can laugh your way through some of it, and it can happen fast. That's why I liked working with transformational coaches and mentors, because their focus was forward momentum, right? My talk therapist was for looking backwards to figure out what the hell happened, but transformational coaches are the ones that helped me move forward. And that's why I ended up becoming one myself. was because it was so beneficial after I had done and tried everything else. Well, Lolita, I am so excited about people reaching out to you. A couple of questions, and then we'll get where they can contact you. We always close out with two questions to ask our guests. The first question is, what did you perform in order to survive? And what happened in your life when you dropped that role, that mask, the identity, or the performance?
So right now, what I give myself is plenty of breaks, especially when I see that I'm starting to pick up the speed and I want to make something into happening, or I already start feeling that I'm getting resentful, or a little bit annoyed. I tell myself, oh, this is a sign that I should stop pushing, and I just need to take a break, take a cup of coffee, have some water, close my eyes for that 1 minute, and go back into trusting myself.
Love that. 1 minute, guys. 1 minute can change everything. Really, truly. It can. And don't forget to breathe. We hold our breath. We don't breathe. All right, last question. What should we be talking about that we're not? What do you want to hear more conversations about?
About self forgiveness and empathy
Mm.
toward ourselves. We're doing
Mhm.
an amazing job, guys. It's time for us to say, I'm enough. I'm doing the best I can,
And
and
I'm
I need to honor
awesome.
myself.
There's nothing
Yes.
wrong with saying you're awesome. There is something magical that happens when you go from, like I did, drowning self hatred in a bottle to liking whom I am as a human, liking my own company, enjoying my alone time, and just thinking I'm pretty rock star awesome. It feels way better than resentment, anger, and self hatred. Way better. It's a lot more fun when you like who you are, right?
And also, we need to remember it's not only about us when we change our life, our patterns. When we learn how to stress manage and relax and honor our own needs, we're showing example not only to other people in our environment that they have a permission to do the same and be healthier and happier, but also we're influencing our children through example. So remember that.
Yes, yes. And when you rise and raise your vibration, people tend to follow you, or they'll fall off and let them go because they weren't meant to come with you. But everybody heals just by you working on you. We don't have to overcomplicate the work. I love closing out on that note. All right, my friends. So remember, ask yourself the question, what did you perform in order to survive? Is it still serving you? And if it's not, what is going to happen in your life when you finally let it go and start having the conversations that you've been putting off? All right, Lolita, thank you so much. You've been a wonderful guest. Guys, we will see you next time. In the meantime, I'm your host, Lisa Lacey. Welcome to the Edge.